It's time for another edition of Out and About with Jamie Grout. This time around, we talked to Captain Tim North of the Salvation Army. A lot of people think about the Salvation Army really only around the holidays because of the bell ringing that goes on with the Red Kettle campaign, but they're around 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help people out. And Tim will talk about the mission of the Salvation Army in just a few minutes. We also talked to Ryan from Ryan's Tire and Auto, one of our sponsors here on Out and About with Jamie Grout. He tells us about tips to keep our car maintained in the summer, fall, and winter months. It's all on the way. But right now, let's hear from our sponsors, who are Clement Mackey Insurance. On First Avenue in Newton, they are your independent insurance agent, which means they can get you the best deal possible for insurance rates because they're associated with several different insurance companies. So check them out today. Clement Mackey Insurance, where your insurance policy comes with an agent. Give them a call at 641-792-5040. And as we mentioned, Ryan's Tire and Auto on First Avenue in Newton. Get a hold of Ryan and his crew. They have top-notch service. They're very friendly folks, and they'll do a great job for you. Give them a call at 641-841-2134. Also, Jersey Freeze in Monroe. Head on there. You can head down the Reasoner Road and then go up what they call the Prison Road to Highway 14, and then that'll take you through Monroe. It's just on the other side of Highway 163, and they have all kinds of treats there. Malt shakes, sundaes, banana splits. You can pick from their selection of chopped up candies to be blended with Jersey Freeze ice cream. Use the drive-up window or the walk-up window. And also Pizza Ranch at I-80 and Highway 14 in Newton. Monday is half-price games. Tuesday's Kids Night free kids buffet with the purchase of one adult buffet. It's a good deal there, too. And both Jersey Freeze and Pizza Ranch give you a chance to win their certificates every week. And this week, we're going to kind of do things a little bit differently and ask a trivia question about one of our podcasts that we have produced here on Out and About with Jamie Grout. And if you are a person that has the answer to the trivia question correct, then you are eligible to win the prize. And I'll go into more details about that a little bit later on. But right now, let's get to our podcast. My first podcast conversation today is with Captain Tim North of the Salvation Army. Is it considered the Salvation Army of Newton, Jasper County? What is the correct title?
Really, we cover all of Jasper County. We're located in Newton, but we cover all of Jasper.
Okay, great. You guys provide so many different services to so many different people around here. Let's touch on some of those, Tim.
Okay. Well, of course, everybody knows this most of the time at Christmas time.
Right,
but,
the Red Kettle campaign.
The Red Kettles, but a lot of, our services continue all year round. Food pantry is huge. Food insecurity within Jasper County is a great need.
Right.
So food is one of them. We do some, honestly, we also do utilities, some rent, etc. It really just ultimately to help somebody that maybe can't make ends meet. I know there are some cases where we'll, not always, it depends upon, the situation, but sometimes even like prescriptions, those type things. Some of that really depends upon, there's just some factors with prescriptions. So those are some of the things that most people need type. We also, if you really look at it, we just finished up with some youth programming, Vacation Bible School. Everybody, so we're doing that. We have a quilting group that meets. You forget, sometimes I even forget about those things that, they're a way of that people ultimately can come together with one common goal of quilting, which don't even bother. I'm not even going, I go back and say hi, and that's about it.
Uh-huh.
Because, I don't think my sewing ability is really great. But
in the last 2 years, you have a quilt auction, and I've been privileged to be the auctioneer for that.
Yes.
And that's coming up soon, isn't it?
Yep, that's coming up in November again.
Uh-huh.
And the big thing is the cool part of that one is ultimately these ladies come together and they'll start at 1:00 and go to about 7:00 on a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it is it's the fellowship. It's a commonality of quilting. So that is, that's one thing that we do have. And of course, the Army, because we're faith based. Of course, we have Sunday services, which on the spiritual side, we never ever say that somebody has to come to any of our spiritual services. They're an offer there if somebody wants that to add to maybe their physical needs.
And one of the things I like about the Salvation Army in terms of need, you're non-denominational.
Right.
You don't differentiate if somebody's an atheist, an agnostic, whether they're Jewish or Buddhist or Christian or whatever the case might be.
No, we're going to help you. You come in, you need help. We're going to help you. There's no discrimination with that. Absolutely. Don't think, well, because I have this, they're not going to help me because they're faith-based. Absolutely not. We want to help people, and that's what we do.
That's great. And you also have a clothing closet here, too.
Yes, we have the thrift store. Absolutely. Thrift store, it's kind of, there's two things with the thrift store. One is you can come and hopefully get things at a little bit cheaper rate. But what happens with our thrift store is when people buy and we get money that's received from the sales, that actually helps us be able to do the food pantry, the rent, the utilities, all of these other services that we offer to the county, because without our thrift store and without that income, we'd be that much shorter of being able to help people in the community.
Yeah, and you talked about the Red Kettle campaign. That's where the majority of your funds are raised, are they not?
That's a big chunk of it. We'll start in November. I'm thinking it looks like we're going to start. I like to start after Veterans Day. I don't like to conflict with Veterans Day because absolutely support our vets and don't want to take away from that. So probably about the 12th, 13th of November, we'll be starting again. I know it's like, especially today on such a warm day, it's like, why are you talking kettles? Well,
yeah,
I've been planting kettles since June.
Sure, I bet you have. I understand. And there's a real need for people to ring those bells.
Oh, yeah.
And let's talk about the competition that the Newton Kiwanis Club and the Newton Rotary Club have had. Now, the first year that we had the competition, you took a pie in the face because the Newton Rotary Club, which I don't know if I was president at the time or not, but I think I was getting close to
being.
You're
getting
close,
yeah.
Yeah, beat the Kiwanis Club, and so your wife got to put a pie in your face.
Yeah, by $20. You guys came in at the last minute.
But, however, the last time, Tim, the Kiwanians beat the Rotarians, which meant that you got to put a pie in my face.
Yeah.
So it's friendly competition. I hope you're holding Lonnie Portner's feet to the fire this year.
Well, I'll have to talk to him. Maybe it'll be president against president again, because actually I got year number 2 as president for Kiwanis. So
yeah.
But it's all in fun.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is if we can have fun doing what we're doing and helping people, that's what I want to do.
Right.
When we get so serious about it, it's difficult. I mean, you look at, like this time of year, and I'm glad you stopped by, because it's like this time of year, people forget because Christmas is coming and this stuff. We're now, kids are back in school, those type things. We're still here serving, and some of our hardest months are our summer months, especially for donations, because, vacations, those type things, people are going to, I admit, I'd rather spend a little bit on a vacation away, but the people still need the help here in the community. So we're here all year round doing the same thing. Christmas time, a little bit more ramped up because, of course, we have the Thanksgiving meal and around, the last 2 years we've done a Thanksgiving meal. Love it. It's fun. If you can volunteer or even just stop by Thanksgiving, it's still going to happen again this year. And people, it's just great seeing people come together to support each other in this community.
Well, that is fantastic. And the Thanksgiving meal, I know you get a lot of people from the community volunteering to help
Mhm.
out with that.
We do. It's funny because our first year we were like, okay, how's this going to work? Are we going to have enough people? And my wife and I were standing around going, oh, we have enough and extras. So I think people just love helping others, and you can see it in this community. We've been so impressed by Newton, our time here, and we're fingers crossed. Depends upon how you look at it. We would love to stay longer, and we at least are getting another year, if not longer. But Newton's a great community. We support each other. It is fantastic.
Tim, what made you decide you wanted to be with the Salvation Army?
Well, really, the Salvation Army is a calling. I look at it as first as, yes, we're a nonprofit, but my calling is a pastoral calling. And that's really what started me with it. Is it's a calling that to take the gospel. Mm-hmm. The Army takes the gospel in a whole different way. We're not, because we do a lot more social services, but we never ever beat somebody over the head with it. I think practical gospel is great, because that's exactly what it is it's helping your neighbor, giving somebody some food that needs it. And, scripturally it says that, the poor will always be with you, but it says to feed the poor, to help the widows, to help this. And that's kind of really why I became involved and really, became part of the Army. I grew up it was my church. I attended Sundays. I was there for youth programs. I was all of that. But
and this was all in Mitchell, South Dakota,
Mitchell,
right?
South Dakota, absolutely. Home of the Corn Palace.
That's right.
My big fame, claim to fame is I graduated from high school in the Corn Palace. But anyway,
people old enough to remember Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In.
Yeah.
Or remember Gary Owens.
Yep.
And he's a famous person from Mitchell, South Dakota. He was the announcer that cupped his hand over his ears and said, "Brought to you by Morgo the Friendly Droll."
Yep. And if I remember, what KORN?
KORN is a real radio station.
I worked at KORN when I was in Mitchell.
Okay.
KORN Q107. When I was there.
I don't know if you knew the story or not. Back in the 80s, I worked at KCOB. Mm-hmm. The morning team from KORN called, and they said, the corn needs to be with the cob.
Yep. It is, Mitchell's kind of a unique community, but, of course, KORN, Corn Palace, all of those things that go with it. But, yeah, it's...
but anyway, we're digressing.
Yeah, sorry, we're talking back our radio days, right?
Yeah. Sure.
Well, realistically, it was a calling, and mine really kind of reconfirmed. Of course, as a kid, you kind of run away from things that you're called to do. My situation kind of happened at a college class, that my calling to do what I do came back. And I had a professor, a wonderful professor, and we were just studying some things, and it was like, Tim, I've done this stuff for you. And it wasn't the professor saying it. It was the Holy Spirit saying, I've done this for you. You need to do what you need to for me. And it was a calling. And, there's times I've tried to get away from it. I did for 5 years, but I just never felt, I worked outside the Salvation Army, it was about 5 years. And during those 5 years, it just didn't feel right.
You didn't feel fulfilled?
No, not at all. Love what I do. Do we get paid the greatest? Oh, absolutely not. But you know what? I look at it as my retirement plan is going to be the best. And matter of fact, just say it. My retirement plan's out of this world. But anyway, you'll get that.
Yeah. It is a great calling, and we did touch on the food pantry a little bit. And what kind of items are you folks in need of here at the food pantry?
Always non-perishables. The cans of corn, green beans, etc. The mac and cheese type things, stuff that is shelf stable for a while, and stuff that's gonna, like I said, the non-perishables are the easiest. Perishables, because of the timeline of sometimes turning them around, but we do, because of the amount of people that we see probably 300 or so a month. We're able to turn some of those around. The biggest thing with like the perishables, like if it's like meats or something, it needs to be like individually wrapped, just because we have to be safe with all those
Right.
type things, and frozen and those type things. But some of the biggest is the non-perishables that we can really keep it stocked. Not even the non-perishable meats, the tunas, the spams, believe it or not. I mean, I grew up on spam, love spam, but
I used to have spam and eggs for breakfast on Sunday mornings when I was a kid.
It was, well, we won't go there, but anyway, but you think about it, and it is really anything that could be used, like I'm trying to think of some of the other things, like the canned chicken.
I was going to ask too, because I've done food drives before. What about toiletries?
Toiletries is something we forget sometimes. The toilet paper. I mean, everybody needs some stuff like that. Even if you look at it, the shampoos, the
toothpaste,
toothbrushes, the
what about diapers?
Diapers, always. We have some, but it seems like we're always running out of the odd sizes, or maybe it's not the odd sizes, the ones that are more popular. But anything that really you run a household on. Sometimes, believe it or not, even some cleaners helps a household. Because you think, well, if I can't afford groceries, sometimes I'm not going to go buy the window cleaner that I need, or the disinfectant that I need to do my counter, or something to that effect, or dish soap. That's huge. You guys still got to do your dishes after you've made them, and so. How
do people qualify to receive items from the food pantry?
Come through our door.
Okay, that's it.
That's it. They have to fill out some paperwork. Part of that ultimately is because we also partner with the Food Bank of Iowa. Some of that is some of the stuff that they require from us. But other than that, we're not going to say that you don't. We understand things happen. You may be working a job that's, you're doing well, but you have a death in the family. Or, you fall and break your leg, or
your job gets terminated.
Right. Exactly. There's lots of things that can really happen that can turn things around, that you were absolutely sailing down the road. We understand that.
Yeah. What are your hours?
Well, we normally run from 9 to noon, and then 1 to 4.
Okay.
The best thing to do, especially with food pantry, is call us, the 641-792-6131, and there will be an option for food pantry. And then make an appointment, because we do all of it by appointment. That way, in turn, when at our food pantry coordinator, he can actually make all the stuff up ahead of time, so that you're not having to stand here, wait. It's just boom, boom, out the door. And he actually will have them all packed up. So it's a simple thing. Give us a call. They may have you come in and do some paperwork. But right now, please call ahead of time to find out what door we can use.
Sure. Yeah, they're working on the road in front of your building, and you're putting on a new roof at the same time. So this is like construction city going on around here.
Yeah. Funny part is, we had a VBS last week, and it was called Messy VBS, and all this was going on. It's like, it's fitting.
Yeah. Crazy. We got to give a shout out to your wife, Peggy.
Yes.
You guys are a husband-wife team here at the Salvation Army. What about the rest of your staff?
We have a fantastic staff. Kelly is our case manager. You have Kayla, who's our office manager. Of course, talked about Ed as our pantry. Our thrift store staff. You've got Ann, and let's see, there's Cheryl and Roz and Carrie, and I'm missing one.
Okay.
For some reason, didn't do too bad. But they all are fantastic. We have volunteers that are here just as much as our staff too. We've got Mark who drives for us. Matter of fact, exciting news is we have a vehicle that's replaced the big one, the big
Yay.
white van. It's
Great.
another white van, but we'll deal with that. But um, um, that's going to be coming out here, so that's going to help us in the long run. If you know any, we won't go into the whole story, but our big white van, there was some issues that it ended up being totaled, so we were down a vehicle for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's like several people that go over to the thrift store on a regular basis. Between a great volunteer staff and a great staff, we've got great people that just really, and the best thing I see about it is they all want to help people.
You bet.
That's huge.
How can people find out more about the Salvation Army? Website, Facebook?
Well, we actually have our Facebook site, of course, Salvation Army Newton.
Okay.
And then if they go to salarmynewton.org, salarmynewton.org, that will get them directly to our site. About that's more of a local site, and that, or if you have any questions, always stop by, talk to us. Gladly sit down and talk to anybody. You want some interesting facts, look up Salvation Army and our heritage of where we came. Yeah. We started in 1865 and we came over in the U.S. within about 10, 15 years. It started in England, came over the U.S. probably about 10 years later, and just lit fire to the U.S.
You bet. Well, thanks for doing what you do for the community, for Jasper County. Tim, you and your crew here do a fantastic job, and we hope, even though it's not Red Kettle campaign time, people still remember the Salvation Army. Right. And especially at Red Kettle campaign time, too. Volunteer to ring those bells.
Oh, volunteer.
Okay. Our interview guest has been Captain Tim North of the Salvation Army. We're at Ryan's Tire and Auto on First Avenue in Newton, one of the sponsors for Out and About with Jamie Grout podcast. Ryan, thank you so much for supporting this. I do appreciate it. We're here recording on a hot summer day. What kind of problems are people seeing as they bring their vehicles into you? I know that's a myriad of different things.
Everything, brake problems, oil problems, coolant problems. This is the time of year why we always tell people to prepare for extreme conditions cause extreme problems.
So do people how do they know if they need coolant in their vehicle or not? Is it the air conditioner, or the vehicle's just not staying cool, or what?
Well, the coolant in particular, I'm speaking of antifreeze.
Okay.
So a lot of times there'll be a light that comes on, you're low on coolant. I really recommend having people either check it while the vehicle's cool or have a professional check it, because the system's pressurized. If you open that baby up and it's hot, you're going to get scalded. Not a good situation. So,
all right. What brands of tires do you carry here?
All major brands. Anything you want, we can get. So I've got 4 suppliers, so anything you need, we can get here. It's not a problem.
Okay. Well, podcasts are supposed to be what they call evergreen, so you can listen to them at any time. Again, we're here on a hot summer day. It's just past mid-August, but if you're listening to us in the fall or even the winter months, what do people need to prepare for with their vehicle for the fall and winter?
I think the fall, any season, it's good to get your pressure set accordingly. People don't realize that tire pressure is a huge thing, not only for gas mileage, but safety. So that's an easy one that anybody can do. And if they bring it here, we'll do that for them for free. That's no problem at all. I always recommend checking all the filters, especially the forgotten filter, which is the cabin filter. It's the lung of your vehicle. So when the air comes into your cabin, it comes through that filter. And you wouldn't believe what we pull out of some of those cabin holes. And they're plugged. And so then what happens is, not only do you not get efficient heat, you don't get efficient coolant, cooling from your air conditioner. So that can cause a major problem. And I just go over the simple safety things. I mean, check your bulbs, make sure your turn signals are operational, check your wipers. We're coming into the season where we're going to start getting rain. That's highly important. And wipers really aren't that expensive. $15, $18 a piece. We'll throw them on, and it gets you really nice and safe. So,
all right, great. Now, as far as tires are concerned, is there a difference in tires? There used to be, anyway, that you would have in the summer and the dry months as opposed to those in the winter. Are most of the tires all seasonal now?
Most tires are all season, so that
Uh-huh.
means most of them are what they call 3 mountain rated, basically, so they're good for all the seasons. However, if your vehicle is one that some vehicles, the application, if it's a sportier vehicle, they don't have really a good all season, but they do make excellent snow and ice tires, and so you can switch those out and buy those, and then seasonally just transfer them over. You don't want to run them in the summer because they won't hold up, but you don't need them in the summer.
Okay.
But if you get a good snow tire on a sports car, you'll stick it around.
Tell us about your history, Ryan.
Well, it started in 1982. I was born. No, just basically lived in Newton my whole life. Have one sister.
Okay.
And I got a wife with 3 kids. So they're all doing good.
What are your kids' names?
Shane, Courtney, and Alex.
Okay, got to give a shout out to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So my wife's name's Shannon. She helps me out down here at the shop quite a bit. We live out in the country, so we got a house with 25 acres and just kind of come here and work all day and then go enjoy the wilderness,
There you go. Now, what year did you graduate from Newton High School?
2000.
2000, okay.
Yep.
And so I'm wondering, have you always been into cars? I mean, is this something that you started as a kid or high school?
When I was a kid, I grew up around Harleys and cars. My dad was into all that stuff. In fact, my dad is just purchasing a hot rod this week. So
is that right?
Yeah, something to kind of bring him and mom back to their youth, I guess. But so excited about that. I still have a 63 Impala 2-door hardtop.
No kidding.
Yeah. So I've always I used to have Harleys. I used to buy a new one every couple of years.
Do you show your Impala
No,
at car shows?
I haven't drove it for a long time.
Okay. Well,
I'd love to, but
tell me about the hot rod your dad's getting.
oh, he's going to get a 69 Camaro.
How about that?
Yeah, definitely.
I got to tell you about the 1970 Dodge Challenger convertible that my dad got. And I don't know if you know him or not, but the guy who is president of the board, I believe, of First Newton National Bank, Mr. Kahn.
Oh, sure.
His dad used to own Sanders Motors here in town, and his dad was Bud Kahn. And great fella, and my dad and his dad used to do business together. And anyway, back years ago, my mom had this 1970 Dodge Challenger convertible. It was beautiful. And he drove it before my mom ended up with it. And in fact, I think his sister also had it. Sadly, when I went through a divorce many years ago, I had to get rid of it. And
Oh, wow.
and somebody towed it off. It was in bad shape. I had not enough money to try to restore it or anything like that. Miraculously, a few years ago, a guy out in Connecticut contacted me, Ryan.
Wow.
He had received the car and brought it back from New Hartford, Iowa. I was living in Waterloo and Cedar Falls when I gave
Sure.
the car up. From New Hartford, had it towed out to Connecticut, had it totally restored inside and out, and he has it in parades and car shows all the
Wow.
time because he contacted me because he went back on the title of the car and he found out who the previous owners were, and it had a license plate on it that said Betty G, and that
Wow.
was my mom's car. And I remember cruising around,
How neat.
well, in downtown Des Moines on the loop, Locust and Grand, with the top down on that thing. That was a beautiful car. So
Wow, that's awesome.
when I win the lottery,
You'll buy it back.
I won't buy it back. I'm gonna go out to Connecticut and bring it on back here.
I don't blame you. That's awesome.
Do you ever go to car shows at all, or you just kind of stay
I
away
used to
from
have car shows at my house. I used to own my house across from Newton Union Cemetery, and we'd have big car shows in that vacant lot down there. But I just don't pretty much committed to my work anymore. So
Mhm.
that's just about what I do.
You're a busy man. I understand you're looking for a mechanic.
We are. Yeah, we're always looking for good help. We're always growing. We're always expanding. I'll definitely make room for the right person.
And you're sponsoring a big feed here coming up here. This is being recorded on, what is this, the 25th or 26th
Yeah,
of
I think
August?
it's 26 today.
Yeah, and of August.
Yep.
If you're listening to this later on, I don't mean to date my podcast, but I wanted you to put in a plug for the American Legion.
Yeah, on the 30th, we're going to have a cookout here. The Legion's bringing it down. It's going to be a lunch cookout. We're going to donate all the food, all the pop, all the chips. The Legion can sell that, and then they can use those proceeds for whatever they need. So pretty excited about that.
I'm looking around your place and I'm checking out the bulletin board. You're supporting Newton Wrestling Team, the Pace Setters, Newton Shooting Sports, Carnival in the Park, Newton Wrestling Club, and the list goes on and on. And
Yep.
of course, my podcast that you have going on. You're really into the community, aren't you?
Well, I think you get into it. You get out what you put into it. So I'm committed to always being here for the community. If I can afford it to help, I'll do that. Or if I can supply labor, I'll do that. I just want to make the town a better place because, the better it is, it's better for all of us. So,
Sure.
yeah.
You do oil changes here too.
Yes, we do.
What kind of oil is it? Do you have a blend kind of oil? Do you have synthetic?
We've got full synthetic. We've got synthetic blend. I got a great guy that does our oil changes, Scott Perry. Phenomenal workers. I've been in this business 20 years of my life, and he's the best I've ever seen. So,
what did you do before Ryan's Tire and Auto?
I've done a few things. I originally ran parts stores for Advanced Auto Parts.
Okay.
I transitioned from that into running tires for Big O Tires. Ran several locations for them, and then I bought a convenience store in Newton, right there, still located by McDonald's. Oh. That was Ryan's Quick Shop, so I owned that for about 5 years.
I remember that.
Yeah. So, and then I've worked for the city of Newton, and now I'm doing this. So, my heart's always been with automotive, but you got to try everything once. So I've done a few things.
Sure, yeah. Sure. What did you do for the city of Newton?
I was an inspector. We just looked at different things. Mm-hmm. It was a good job, and then I transferred from that to parks and just did mowing and stuff like that. So
I see. Okay.
That's kind of right down my alley too. I like to mow and be outside. So.
Well, we were talking about this earlier. You're looking for a mechanic, and business is going well. When I came in, you said, well, you have cars waiting to be serviced here. Things are going so well. Does it surprise you how well your business has taken off, Ryan? Or I guess pleasantly surprised?
I guess I'm pleasantly surprised, and I'm just proud of my community. I'd like to think it's part of us giving back so much is why we're getting the support. But whatever the reason is, I mean, we try to do quality work at an affordable price and just try to make everybody feel at ease when they come here. I don't like that me versus them at the counter. I want to be a partner in your auto repair. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't want to be divisive or overcharged. I just want to charge a fair price and get you fixed up. So.
And you have candy at the counter.
Well, it's always a sweet spot. Yeah, we have candy. I haven't eaten candy for about 30 days, so it's been a lot. The bowl goes empty a lot less quick.
Are you trying to behave yourself?
I'm trying to. Yeah, it's not easy, but I'm trying.
Okay. Are you on Facebook?
Yep, we are on Facebook, Ryan's Tire and Auto. Definitely go ahead and like our page, and we're continually having food trucks in the parking lot. I try to give back that way. So we've got like Triple B's, tenderloins, Kiki's. We've had quite a few food trucks out here. So I think that's pretty cool. And sometimes if you have a limited selection of places to eat, it gives somebody an option.
Fantastic. Yeah. Now, do you have a website yet?
Yep. It's Ryan's Tire and Auto at Weebly.
At Weebly?
Yep.
Okay, I've never heard of that.
I haven't either.com. You should be able to go directly there from our Facebook. So check it out, or just Google search us. We're on there.
And coming soon, Out and About with JamieGrout.com.
That's right. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and you're going to be able to link to Ryan's Tire and Auto.
That's great.
From that website also. So.
I think it's important. I'm not tooting your horn here, but your podcast is important to keep. I think the more people know about their community, the more they can enjoy it. And I think you bringing history. I thought I knew everything about Newton, but I listened to Larry Hurto. I mean, you learn things, right? Yeah. So that's important. The more you know about your community, the better it'll be. Yeah,
Larry told me you were a history buff, so that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bet. And what are your hours here at Ryan's?
Monday through Friday, 7 to 5, and Saturday, 8 to noon.
All right, sounds good. Ryan, thanks so much for speaking with me today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Until next time, Grout is out. See ya.